Will the Giants fall to 0-3 on Sunday? Skip and Shannon give their picks. And is it fair to compare J.J. Watt to Lawrence Taylor? Plus, we've got Eric Dickerson and Rob Ryan in studio with us. All of that coming up next. Jenna, back to you.
Thank you very much, Joy. So last week, Odell Beckham Jr. only played 34 of 56 snaps for the Giants. Fortunately for Eli Manning and company, OBJ says he hasn't had any setbacks on his ankle since, and he is expecting to be on the field more this weekend against Philadelphia.
You know, it's hard to get into the groove, you know, when you're in and out. So I look to play a lot more this week, in my opinion. I feel like I could take over a game at any time, no matter ankle or anything like that. So it's just a matter of getting those opportunities and making the most of them. And just playing as a team, we have to play better in each and every phase, defense, special teams, offense. We just got to do better.
I know, CC, you love when I ask you this. What am I saying? What's up?
Oh, you're texting with Odell?
Oh, you're texting with OBJ.
Okay.
You got to get the people an update.
Okay, I know, but you had the font of like -7.
I'll let you know.
It's the smallest font I've ever seen.
No, Nick could be trying to change it.
I'll be trying something. Let's see what he says. I wonder if going into week 3, whether you can call a game a must-win for any team. But if there were to be a must-win for a team, would it for the Giants?
Okay, first of all, I have to go to my numbers guy, Nick Wright. Nick, what are the numbers? What do the numbers say if a team starts 0-3, a chance of making the play?
Since the playoffs expanded in 1990, it's less than 5%. You're drawn very, very
it's true.
slim.
It's like 3.6%.
Is that less than 5%?
No, it is, but I want to be even more specific.
Okay. Hey, Jenna, stay on your corner. I'll stay on my corner. The precision numbers I got, I was trying to make it easier to understand, but yeah.
I mean, based on those numbers, like we had in week number 1, was that a must-win? We had teams week number 2. Whoa, they're 0-1. This is must-win. Well, based on the numbers from my information stat guy
Not
from
me.
that corner.
I know, not me.
Like, they must get this win some kind of. Now, there are game plans week in and week out, what you're going to attack. You know, we're going to go after the secondary. We're going to run the ball 40 times. We're going to create a lot of turnovers. We have the advantage special teams-wise. This is one of them kind of games. I don't know what Ben and them are going to do. They better protect. That's where the game plan better. Ben McAdoo, he better protect Eli Manning. And the kid with the yellow hair, he's got to touch the ball 10 times. All right? So those things have to happen for the Giants to win. Philadelphia's front seven is one of the best in football. Jim Schwartz, one of the best coordinators. He puts pressure on the opposition. Philadelphia secondary, they really only have Malcolm Jenkins. The other guy's banged up. Darby's out. So OBJ, it's OBJ time.
It's got to be. And is it a must-win? Well, they're going to win. This is my first real major game prediction of the show. Giants are going to win this football game, and it's funny how things can flip. They lose, they're 0-3. They less than a 5% chance to make the playoffs historically. But they win, all of a sudden, wait, they're 1-2. If they win, Philly's 1-2 because they will have lost this game. Mm-hmm. With respect to our previous guest, Jay Gruden, I think his team's going to lose to Oakland Sunday night. They'd be 1-2.
That wasn't no respect to him.
Just being fair.
Awful respect. But no respect.
With respect, I think you're going to lose. Dallas is on the road against Arizona. They'll likely win that game. But you're in a situation where you could be 1-2 and tied for second in your division, maybe tied for first in your division. It can, because the NFC East doesn't have an undefeated team anymore. Like, everybody's got at least one loss. So the question is, how do they win? And the way they win is the same way they won against Philly last year. Odell has a huge game. They didn't win against Philly last year because they ran for a bunch of yards. They were 1-1 against Philly last year. The game they won, they rushed for less than 50 yards, but they kept Eli mostly clean. He was only sacked 2 times total in the 2 games against Philadelphia last year. And Odell in the 2 games combined for 2 touchdowns, nearly 200 yards receiving. He had monster games against them. So how do they do that? When Philly has such a great defensive line and the Giants' offensive line was just exposed on national television for not being able to block anybody, you just got to send help. You got to bring tight ends to protect, and that means there's going to be more guys in the secondary to guard Odell, to guard Brandon Marshall, and those guys got to win. Odell's got to be double covered and win.
CC, do the Eagles go into this game going, hey, we saw them last week. That O-line is terrible and porous. We're going to go attack that. Or do they say they're obviously going to fix that? Let's go long. Let's send guys out. We can do it that way.
Well, this is what I expect Jim Schwartz to do. I believe that he realized his secondary is depleted. So he's going to try to rush the minimum number of people. That means 3-man rush, 4-man rush, drop 8 or 7 people in the coverage, as long as the game is closely contested. If the Giants get the lead, that's going to force Jim Schwartz. He's got to blitz, which puts a very, very young secondary in man-to-man coverage against Brandon Marshall and OBJ. So that's what they're going to try to do, but it's all still based on that Giants offensive line.
But we also got to talk about the other side of the ball. Because the other side of the ball is a Giants defense, which was extraordinary last season, essentially brought everyone back, and has not yet been extraordinary this season. They've been okay, but they haven't yet been great. Against Philadelphia, against Carson Wentz, who, while he can avoid the blitz pretty well, as you've talked about, he's more athletic than you'd think a kid with red hair from North Dakota would be. But the guy's a good athlete. But he also misses some easy throws. He also throws interceptable passes. I know you guys don't like that stat, but I think interceptable passes is sometimes more telling than actual interceptions.
Yes.
If you throw a ball that just falls through the defender's hands, that's no worse or better of a throw than one that a defender makes that catch.
But eventually, they're going to catch him.
Exactly.
That's why it becomes important.
And Carson Wentz throws a lot of interceptable passes. And last week, he missed, I watched that full game against my hometown Chiefs, 3 times with no rush. He just missed on screen passes. Screen passes are supposed to be the easiest possible pass in football. So you're going to have some opportunities. You add to the fact that Philadelphia does not have an established running game. They brought in LeGarrette Blount. He's done nothing. Nothing. So for all those reasons, I think the Giants should be able to stymie their offense. And then the question is, as it always with the Giants offense, can Odell make enough plays to win?
I believe.
Well, let me see if he got back to you.
Did he get back to me yet?
No, but that's quite a picture on your home screen.
Holla, holla. Yes, you know it, at +1.
Yikesies.
But
Yikesies.
it seems so simple. Play great defense. That question mark, though, can be answered. Is Janoris Jenkins, is he back? Because the Giants can't play the type of coverage with Eli Apple playing 40 snaps a man compared to the former first-round pick being the nickelback.
Right.
All right. They're so much better with DRC and Jackrabbit and have Apple be the nickelback. That's one of the best secondaries in the NFL. But you move Apple to be a starter, huge difference there. So watch that as they release the inactives before 1 hour before the game.
And it's not just the downgrade quickly here from Janoris Jenkins to
No, it's not no
Eli.
downgrade going to an Ohio State guy. Okay?
It is.
Well, yeah, it's more experience.
It's not just a downgrade from Janoris Jenkins to Eli Apple. It's the downgrade at slot corner.
The trickle-down effect.
It's the trickle-down effect. Now, all of a sudden, in your slot corner, they spent a first-round pick on Eli Apple. They have high aspirations for him. The fact that they also spent so much money the offseason before this one, bring in DRC and Janoris Jenkins, then you could slowly ease him along as your third corner. He has to become your second corner, and then all of a sudden, a guy that you don't want to play that much as your third corner. When Philadelphia spent a lot of resources on wide receiver in particular, then all of a sudden, that Giants defense is less potent. So that injury is not as important as the Odell injury, but probably the second most important injury going into this game.
This just in, Chris Carter is actually going to be at the Eagles-Giants game in Philly on Sunday. This is the first I'm hearing of this. But so we know that you like the Giants.
Yes.
Even though they are underdogs by 6 points.
6 points. Bet of the week, Giants +6.
CC?
Make some money, America.
I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles. The Eagles called my name, drafted me.
Yes.
87.
Yes.
What'd you say? What?
Yes.
Here's the they drafted you.
I cashed a lot of checks for them.
You can't have that filter
Cashed
your
a lot of checks for
matter.
them.
Can we move on?
Then they cut me. And I'm going to be in the stands. Listen, let me tell you what this is about. I'm going to be in the stands, Nick. I can't have them harassing me. Okay, that's what this is about. Okay?
I picked NCAA brackets with less than that, and that's not that
really
easy.
charming that Chris is telling America he's watching a game from the stands.
Yeah, no,
he's on the sideline or in an air-conditioned suite.
Or in the red zone.
Upper level.
Or somewhere in the 20.
Right, if I keep telling you information, you keep telling it to the people.
Yeah.
All right? I'm going to cut you off.
With our audience, sir.
Moving on to the Cowboys now. Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant have struggled to get on the same page this season. Prescott has targeted Dez 25 times, but Dez only has 9 receptions for slightly over 100 yards. Dak said both he and Dez have to work to improve their chemistry.
we just both have to be better. As I said, I've got to make better throws, give him better chances. He would say that he's got to get open more. He's got to say he's got to make those 50-50 balls. So it's early, but we definitely got to get that cleaned up and clean it up fast.
CeCe, how does a wide receiver and a quarterback improve their chemistry once the season has started? I mean, really, is it just, hey, try to catch these balls I'm throwing to you, or hey, can you make better throws? Like, break it down for me. How does that happen?
Well, offensive football is very, very tough to play. And as I've been trying to explain to you, through the first 4 weeks, people talk about the offensive line play, but it's also in the passing game. The reason why, because you can't simulate the type of coverages, even though, as you would say, why don't we just go out after practice, throw another...
It wasn't that cute when I...
You know, like, let's run some routes. I'll throw to you, CeCe,
okay,
and maybe we can get this thing timed up.
No.
It's a lot easier. You know, it's kind of like the rehearsal shows that we did. You can make mistakes and everything, but it's not live. The live reps are the most valuable reps.
So what's the
But
answer?
it's really, the answer is on Dez. Because as a wide receiver, when you're running routes, there's a passing tree, which is a pattern that the wide receiver is going to follow. Now, there's no defenders when you're running on air. But when you get in the game, especially against Dez, he's getting a lot of bump and run. So it's taken away the continuity that Dak and him are used to having. At the top of the route, people talk about separate away. Well, what do they mean? They mean put your cleats actually in the ground and change direction and create separation away from the defensive back. That's what has Dez kind of keeping him from being elite.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong. He's also sometimes, for the really good corners, he's telegraphing what route he's running with his footwork. He's not you've shown, I've seen you working with guys, that you need to have the same steps no matter which route you're running, because the smart corners are going to pick that up over the course of the game. We saw Talib on the second interception. He knew what Dez was going to do and took advantage of it because he's telegraphing it early.
It means information. I want to present the least amount of information I can to the defensive back so that he has the least amount of time to be able to react. So that's what it's about. When you get to the top of the route, I don't want to give him any indicators of where I'm going, but there's indicators I can give the quarterback to know where I want the football or what position, all right? The good quarterbacks, and Dak is one of those. When they throw the ball to you, the ball speaks to you. If they throw it in front of you, they're telling you, there's green grass in front of you. Keep running. If they throw it a little bit behind you, they're telling you, slow down. You might get clocked if you keep going because it's a zone coverage. So they are working these things out, but the onus is on, you're going to be surprised, it's on Dez Bryant. And the reason why is because he's not a great route runner, but he could easily clean up his route running, and it would make it more decisive for Dak in making his throws if he makes good, clean indicators at the top of the route.
There's two reasons why I totally agree with you that it's on Dez. One is just the evidence we have since Dak came into the league. Since Dak came into the league, he has thrown 2 interceptions on 428 passes to everyone on the Cowboys not named Dez. That's 1 in every 214 throws. He has thrown 4 interceptions on 120 passes to Dez. That's 1 in every 30 throws. So he throws he's 7 times more likely to throw a pick throwing to Dez than anyone else. So that's the evidence of it. But here's the other part of it. If the Cowboys offense is going to go to another gear, Dez is the only guy that can take them there. Zeke is already operating, last game notwithstanding, at full capacity. Jason Witten is who he is.
Yes.
Cole Beasley is who he is. The offensive line is already an A+. The Dak Prescott just came off the best rookie season ever. The only guy who is not in full throttle over the last year plus is Dez. So I don't know if the Cowboys offense needs, by the way, to go to an extra gear. But if
they do.
Okay, well,
that's what they need in the playoff game.
If they are going to do it, Dez is the, no pun intended, the X factor.
Yes.
Can he get to that next year?
And can he do it in the next 2 games? Is if you say the first 4 games is your they've got 2 games to really get everybody going on that in that next year.
Well, listen, we know that he has that gear. We
need to see some of this, bro.
Have a fantastic weekend. Have so much fun. Be safe. You have a fantastic weekend.
I'll see you for
football on Sunday. Spicy Friday went really well.
Hey, you're an X factor around this mug.
Love you, need it. Guess what's next?
These guys.
Undisputed starts right now.